Hey yo, what is up FPG fam? Further here and welcome back to another Zenless Zone Zero video. Today we're going to be taking a look at the PRYDWEN tier list because we do have Evelyn in the game and I'm interested to see where they tiered my GOAT. They better not have done her dirty. Nah, I'm kidding. I'm interested to see where they have her though. I'm interested to see their opinions on Evelyn and I want to know your opinions down in the comments below. Let me know your thoughts about Evelyn, especially like your first impressions. I have my own and I want to see if they're in line with PRYDWEN, which by the way, massive shout out to PRYDWEN for putting in all the effort to provide us with this tier list and their explanation on characters, which we'll take a look at here in just a second. I do appreciate that and it means a lot because I enjoy doing tier list video and reacting to other people's tier lists, especially PRYDWEN's, which I don't know if I've done that here on the channel for Triple Z. So if this is the first one, huge. We're going to continue doing this. Also, if you enjoy this type of content, let me know in the comments down below. Also drop a like, sub if you're new, join the FPG fam. I would love to have you stick around. We're going to be doing plenty more Triple Z content. With that being said, let's go ahead and hop in. We're going to take a look at the change log first really quickly and see what they have to say, and then we'll take a look at the tier list, see if I agree with it, see if there's any changes, and I'll just give my opinions on the matter. Now let's take a look here. Evelyn has been added to the tier list. Massive shout out to the GOAT. Evelyn is amazing. I guess before we hop in, I'll just give my thoughts really quickly. I think Evelyn is an amazing character. I do think that there is a skill ceiling when it comes to her. You do have to play her in a pretty optimal type of playstyle to get the most out of her. You need to know what you're doing with this character and understand her kit to get the most value. And that goes for most characters, but I think in Evelyn's case, it's more so than others. And she does have a specific rotation, specific teams. Evelyn is a little more skillful, or at least you need to be a little more skillful with her, in my opinion, of course. And I think she's incredibly strong if you get that down pat. I think she is very close to Miyabi level. Obviously, I still think Miyabi is the strongest DPS in the game just because of her ease of use, her AoE, the amount of damage she can do, Anomaly being top tier, all of that, and her iframes, all of that just concludes Miyabi being the best DPS in the game, rightfully so, right, Void Hunter. But I think Evelyn is extremely close, especially once again if you have her gameplay down packed and you're playing her optimally. I think Evelyn is pretty close. So if they have her in like, oh well, I see it right here, tier 0. I was gonna say if they have her in tier 0.5, that is okay with me. I am fine with that. I don't think she was necessarily Miyabi level, so tier 0 I think should be Miyabi only, and then Evelyn right below. But if they had her in tier 1, that would have been blasphemy, in my opinion. I think that would have been blasphemy. Anyways, they do have her where I think she should be. We're placing Evelyn in tier 0.5 initially with the expert tag, which makes sense. I agree with that. This tag indicates that in the hands of a beginner or average player, she sits around the tier 0.5 level, but in the hands of an expert, she performs at a tier 0 level. That is something that I can get on board with. Like, if you want to argue that point, I'm not going to argue with you. I will agree. In the expert type of tag or in the hands of an expert, she could definitely be tier 0. I still think that there should be a Miyabi only tier where Miyabi sits above all, just because she is that good and she is that ease of use that you don't have to be an expert with Miyabi to get the most value from her and still be the best DPS in the game. With Evelyn, you do need all of that and then some for her to be tier 0. So I think Miyabi should still have her own tier, but Evelyn, I'm not gonna argue with you if you want to put her at tier 0. I think she is that strong. These new characters that are coming out, I thought about doing a video about this, are just on another level in terms of fun factor, but also in strength. These characters are coming out incredibly strong, but also incredibly fun to play at games. Anyways, let's go ahead and scroll down to the tier list now that we got that out of the way. Let's see what we have going on here. So we'll start in the DPS category. Miyabi, obviously I agree with this. She should be in her own tier. Miyabi is the best character in the game in terms of DPS, probably just in general the best character in the game. Moving on from there, tier 0.5, we have Bernice. I agree. Evelyn, once again I agree with Evelyn being here. Jane Doe, I agree. Yanagi, definitely. And then Zhu Yuan. I think Zhu Yuan is a sleeper, to be honest with you. I think a lot of the community is sleeping on my girl Zhu Yuan. I think with the introduction of Asha Yao, and then you put that, you know, that mono ether team together, Zhu Yuan cooks, absolutely cooks, especially if you have some mindscapes on her. But even if you don't, if you have her signature W engine, and you have her built correctly, PRYDWEN still puts in the work. I think people have been sleeping on my girl. I think some people might be sleeping a little bit on Jane Doe as well. I think Jane Doe is going to make a strong resurgence once things start to shift around and we get the proper team around Jane Doe in terms of updated characters. I think Jane Doe is going to come back to prominence. Bernice has always been good. I think Bernice is a really good character just in general. And then Evelyn, I think Evelyn is phenomenal. I think Evelyn is top tier. I think they did her justice, and she's incredibly fun to play. So I agree with the tier 0.5. This is a good placement for everybody. Moving over to T1, we got Ellen, and then we have, what's her name, Piper. This is fine. I'm okay with this, to be honest. Piper, I don't have as much time playing Piper, so I can't speak to that as much as I would like to. Ellen, I think Ellen is still a very good character. I think she holds her own. I think she has a good team around her, team synergy. I'm not a huge fan of her gameplay personally. I think it's just a little clunky, especially after Miyabi comes out. I think Miyabi just does everything Ellen wants to do in terms of her gameplay. If Ellen was to come out now, I think Evelyn would be a lot different in terms of how she's played and used, and I think they would have taken out a lot of her clunkiness. But I think she's still strong. I think she hits incredibly hard, and you can do a lot of work with Ellen still to this day. So especially once again if you have Mindscapes on her. So I think that's a good placement. Her Amasa being here obviously can go up if you are an expert with him. I think he's a great free-to-play character. They just should have made him a little bit easier to use and maybe not so expert heavy, just because you have to know his kit. Once again, like Evelyn, know how to do his combos to be able to get the most out of him. But he's a good character overall. I think he can hit hard, especially being electric DPS. He's going to be a fantastic option for free-to-play players. Soldier 11, as much as I despise her, she is still strong. She still holds her own. She still has a pretty good team around her as well. And I think Soldier 11 stock is going to rise as we get more characters. Her faction starts to round out a little bit more, or just in general, she just doesn't have any teammates. But, you know, with Lucy, with Astra, with supports around her, she could still cook. She could still put in a lot of work damage wise. She's just, I just can't. I despise this character because I keep losing 50-50s to her, but I cannot deny that she still holds her own, right? Out of all the standard banner characters, Soldier 11 is still top tier. Now moving on from there, we have Grace and we have Nekomata. These two characters I don't have much time with. I don't even have them on the account. I played them very sparingly, limited, so I can't really speak on them. And then we have these characters at the bottom. Now what I will say in Zenless Zone 0, and I'm sure all of you have seen this, that these characters aren't necessarily bad. They're just a little more niche. As you can see, niche characters, meaning you could still put in a lot of work. Obviously we've seen the individual that used Billy to get up to like the highest tier of the tower. You could put in work with these characters. You just have to put the time in and the resources and investment. If you do that, then all of these characters can perform. And that's what I like about Zenless Zone 0, is that you can have these characters perform at a high level. You just need to put investment into them, and they might be a little more niche, but you know, you can still get a lot of value. Moving on from there, we have the stun characters. We have Lighter and we have Chingy. Now what I will say is I think Lighter's stock rose with Evelyn coming out, just because he's going to be used in that team a lot. It's the premier team for him to be in, and he is pretty flexible in terms of being able to be on a lot of different teams with the buffs that he provides and with the amount of stunning that he can do. Chingy being here, I think Chingy is a phenomenal character. I think she holds a lot of value. One being electric. There's, you know, obviously not a lot of electric characters, so her being electric is really nice. Her being one of the best, if not the best stun character, the buffs that she provides, or the debuffs I should say, she is fantastic. So if you don't have Chingy, she is a good pickup. It just really depends how Trigger is going to release. I know Trigger got some buffs in the, you know, phases that she's in right now, so we'll have to see how she comes out. But nonetheless, I think even with Trigger releasing, Chingy's still going to be a valuable option. So you could definitely pick her up. She's going to be a really good stun character for, I think, a very long time. She has been, so she's holding her own. Lycone being the ice stun character, really good for that specific team. So I agree with that. Coleta, I don't have as much time with Coleta. I built her up a little bit. I'm not a huge fan of her gameplay, but I will admit, I think Koleda's stock is going to rise as well. With the introduction of Evelyn, I think she is good slotted into that team if you don't have Lighter in terms of a replacement or a substitute. If you need a stun character and you don't have Lighter for the Evelyn team, then I think you could slot Koleda in. I think she could put in a lot of work there. Now, I don't personally use her. I just use all supports for Evelyn, just because I don't feel a necessity to run a stun character. But if you are one of those individuals, Koleda is going to be a good option to go ahead and slot in as a substitute. Moving on from there, we have Ambi, and I think Ambi, honestly, I still think Ambi is really good as an electric stun. She can really hold her own. So I think she is a good free-to-play option, and I'm interested to see how she's going to be with the Silver Soldier Ambi, Double S Ambi with the A rank Ambi. I think that could be a very fun, interesting team to put together. We'll see how that goes. So that's for the stun. I don't have any qualms here, to be honest with you. I might have bumped Koleda up to where Lycone is, just because I think they're a little similar in that aspect. And I think she, with the introduction of Evelyn, can be here now in tier 0.5. But I'm not going to argue with her being in T1. And then, of course, with the support characters, we have Astra and we have Caesar. Now, personally, if we're looking at a pure support, right, just support alone, I would put Astra above Caesar. Now, that's just me personally. I would put Astra in her own plane, like with Miyabi in her own plane. Astra, just pure support speaking, I think she is in a league of her own when it comes to just pure support. I would put her above Caesar and probably have Caesar in 0.5. Or just have Astra in her own tier. I just think that Astra as a support character in general, specifically in that tier, should be on her own plane. But I cannot deny that Caesar is a fantastic support as well. But also, she provides more than just supporting. She actually can do damage, CC. She has a lot in her kit. So if you want to put her in tier 0, I'm not going to argue with you, honestly. T0's fine if you want to have Caesar there. She is a phenomenal character, arguably a must-have on most accounts, especially for individuals that are not that skillful. She really helps a lot of people out. So T0, I'm not going to argue there, but I still think from a pure support standpoint, Astra should probably be in her own spot, personally. Moving on from there, we have Lucy, Nicole, and we have, what's her name? Rena. I don't have Rena on my account. I wish I did, but I don't. But I think this is fine. I think Lucy is phenomenal. I don't think people give Lucy enough credit, especially at M6. I think she is fantastic support character, especially in that Evelyn team. I do Evelyn, Lucy, and Astra. Team slaps. Team absolutely cooks. That's just because, and I mentioned this in my Evelyn video, Lucy has her EX special up all the time. And it can be clutch in a lot of situations. So Lucy just is a phenomenal support character in general, especially for Evelyn, but is pretty universal. You can slot her in any team as a support. And then Nicole. I don't hear enough people. I mean, we talked about it in the past, Nicole, how good she is, but I don't think people really understand how good Nicole is and her debuffing, how strong that debuff is. And then with the CCing capabilities that she has, the CC with the debuff. Now we have Astra out. Nicole slots on so many different teams. And then with Miyabi, she's phenomenal. With Evelyn, she's phenomenal. You could put Nicole with any DPS character and she's going to be valuable. So I cannot speak enough good stuff about Nicole and about Lucy both. They are both great A ranks and support A ranks. They're fantastic. And then we have Rena. I don't have Rena, so I can't really speak on Rena, but I know what she provides and what she's able to do. So 0.5 is fine with me. Moving on from there, we have Seth and we have Sukaku. Now, Sukaku's stock is rising. People are starting to realize how good this character is, not only as a support, but as a damage dealer. She's a bit of a hybrid, right? She could do a lot of damage with proper investment, but she also is a great support, especially for the Ice team, right? So Sukaku, I think her stock is rising. I think she's probably going to be moving up in the tier list. She's just really a strong character, and that's maybe where we can have like a type of hybrid tier like they do in Wuthering Waves, like how they have Chang Li in a hybrid role. Because I would certainly put like Caesar in that role. I would certainly put Sukaku in that role. Seth could be in that role, where it's a hybrid type of role where they do damage, but they also support, almost like a sub DPS type of deal. I think that's something that PRYDWEN might want to look in for Zenless Zone Zero, because you have a couple of characters. I mean, even Chingy, Lighter, they can fit in that role where they do damage, but they also support. And they are that hybrid dual type of role that they have going on. I could see Sukaku being in there, Seth, Caesar, Chingy, Lighter. I think they can all fit in that role to some degree, right? So Sukaku, I think people are starting to really figure this character out and start to get a better understanding. So I like that. And then we have my man Ben all the way here at the bottom. That is insane. Is Ben really that? I once again, I don't know Ben. I don't play Ben. But is he really that bad? I used to play Ben back in the beta, and I always thought he was pretty good, especially with Coleta, that little team up that they have. I thought he was always a pretty fun character. A little slow, you know, pretty niche. But there is going to be a Ben player that comes out that just solos the tower with him. Watch. If it hasn't happened already. Anyways, those are my dogs barking in the background. That's an indication to get on out of here that I yapped long enough. So thank you so much, guys, for all the support. Let me know if you want me to continue doing videos like this. You guys are amazing. I appreciate each and every one of you. Remember to stand out, be different, have fun, go further beyond in everything that you do. My name's Cody. Call me further. I'll see you all next one. Bye, guys.